Hey guys, Jake here. Before we start the show, I want to make you aware of something that our buddy Mike Crawford and the UCLA Alumni and Wooden Athletic Fund is doing for the San Diego State game at San Diego State. Me and Mike will be there. I think Bill will be there too. But the event is the Bruin Bash, UCLA football at San Diego State. It is Saturday, September 9th, 2023, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be on the north lawn of Snapdragon Stadium, and that's at 2101 Stadium Way. And it is $65 for adults, $45 for children, 5 to 12, and children under 5 are free. So there will be a link in the show notes. And if you're looking for a fun pregame event for Bruin fans before the San Diego State game, you might as well make it the Bruin Bash.
Fight, fight, fight!
This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA, fight, fight, fight!
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show Network, with your hosts, Jake Merrifield, Bill Shirley, Jamaal Artis, and Mike Regalado, bringing you anything and everything UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
And welcome to What's Bruin, a show about anything and everything Bruin sports. I am your host, Bill freaking Shirley.
Sounds like a walk in the park to me. Have you walked in the park lately? It's full of bums and perverts.
It's so true.
Right?
Oh my God, that is like LA all day. That is LA all day.
Although the Hurri-Quake might have,
God, that was so funny.
flushed some out.
Called it! I freaking called it. Did
Mike
you see
call
that?
it. Did you see his thing?
On Friday.
He literally
On
predicted.
Friday, I tweeted out, with our luck here in LA, we're going to have an earthquake and a hurricane.
And you called it a hurricane?
And you know what? I didn't say Hurri-Quake. I should have. I should have coined that. That's an animal smash right there.
Put that on a shirt.
But the first person to... Okay, so I'm sitting with my kids. We're watching... we're watching some Star Wars thing. And that's not important. My dad goes, there was an earthquake. I'm like, now? He goes, I guess. And all of a sudden, we started getting texts from the family, blah, blah, blah. Leo, out of Long Beach,
Wow.
big super WBS fan, goes,
Admirer of Jorge?
you were right. He goes, I was like, right about what? I was like, oh God, there was an earthquake. 5.1 out in Ojai.
Good job, Leo.
Tropical hurricane going on. Yeah, we had a hurricane. It was crazy.
That was right after he shamed people
Called
for
it.
being in the in-out line during the rainstorm.
Oh, that was In and Out.
So-
That was In and Out
so
Gods.
Basically,
saying-
I'm right.
They're like, fuck you, Mike.
and then it completely bypasses me, which is funny because it's out in Ojai. All my friends out here, West Side, I felt it. My sister, who's 5 miles east of me, I felt it. Are you guys okay? None of us felt it
Oh, that's
at
funny.
all. Crazy.
Sarah felt that I was walking around, so I didn't feel it.
Yeah, we didn't feel
Awesome.
it. Anyway,
We all
Hurri-Quake.
survived.
We did, and welcome with that Hurri-Quake intro. Welcome to the What's Bruin Show. This show,
Symposium.
It's 10 years, Jake. It's still a goddamn show. All right, so listen.
It's a network, mate.
It is. It's one show, part of a great network that includes us. It includes West Coast Bias, the bare minimum, and sometimes the B
bare
team.
minimum.
Yeah. And hello to Jamaal. Hello to Jamaal out there. So you guys can reach him on Twitter. You already know their stuff. I'll talk about the email, whatsbruinshow@gmail.com. Get a shirt. Jake, I believe you sent out 3, 4 shirts?
A couple more than that.
Couple more than that. Couple means 2. Good. All right, so good. And then on Instagram, these
Leo,
guys...
I have your shirt, by the way. He didn't want me to send it. I'm going to bring it to the roast.
Oh, he's going to bring... Oh, that's good. How you doing,
And
Leo?
delivered. Nice.
He's very nice. I got to meet him in person. It was really nice to meet him last season when I went to one game with you.
Yes.
I think one game, yeah.
Bill's 1 game per year.
1 game per year. At What Bruin Show on Instagram. Just remember that. Or Threads. Or whatever the hell it is. I don't care. Listen, during the symposium, we talk about our drinks. We also talk about supporting us on Patreon and Substack.
That's right.
You can go ahead and check us out on Substack for only
$2
or $5, Mike.
$5. Whatever. I don't
Whatsbruin.substack.com. It's the home of the alt-right, so it's rock and
That's
roll.
right. Jesus
And you can go ahead and do that.
Come on with me.
So go ahead and give us a call. You need to give us a call. Why? Because we don't want to lose this number. And if you don't call us, we lose the number, and we're going to have some stupid, just horrible
It's
number.
almost the freaking football season.
Yeah, you got to have a call just going, go Bruins, and hang up. I don't care, but just give a call.
Give us a
okay?
call.
All right, that number is
Even-
805-399.
For
WBS.
WBS. I ruined that because I was going to say, even if
happened,
you're a
Mike?
Trojan, even if you're a Trojan fan that goes, good Trojans, call in.
That's right.
Can we get that one more time?
Which one?
The phone
805-399.
4 WBS. Suck it right in
Sucker in Detroit. And by the way, they have a meetup this Friday night.
Is it like West Side Story meetup? Like what are we
Oh,
doing?
kind of
here?
like
6 p.m.
kind of like a remote, like we did.
Shakey's in Studio City. They're not recording. They're just meeting up.
Oh,
I don't know. I might go if I get out of work on time. Shakey's, Studio City, 6 p.m.
oh wait, no, I can't. I can't. Go.
There's gonna be a lot of Trojans there, so
Yeah.
bring your knife.
So we're gonna go ahead and get on with the bro-filiated headlines with this guy laughing over here, Mike.
Mike Regalado.
Iron Mike. Big applause, Big Mike.
Not too much headlines tonight because we do have a packed schedule, but a few things to hit upon. Bill Connolly, who now works for ESPN,
Yes.
put out his final preseason SP Plus rankings, and UCLA. This is a pretty nice indicator. He's been wrong a lot, but no,
But as
that's
far as
just
people that are right,
no, but he's
generally the most right.
I do love how he puts all this together, and it's on a week-by-week basis, and it is all tempo adjusted. But right now, for the final S&P Plus rankings, he has UCLA 28th overall.
Wow.
Go Bruins!
UCLA's offense, sans DTR and Charbonnet, 13th in the nation. Defense, 63rd in the nation, which I believe is 24, 25 spots up
From what he had him last year?
at this point last year. Yeah.
Go Bruins.
Which is crazy, and we're definitely going to talk about.
There's certainly reasons why, and we'll talk about them soon.
Exactly. Yeah, so he also has, which is weird because ESPN puts out both the SP Plus and the FPI, the Football Power Index,
Which is garbage, trash, straight gutter nonsense.
I do respect it to an extent.
Why did they hire
but-
Bill Connolly? Because they had the FPI, and it sucks. Like, this really sucks. We need something better.
Yeah. Well, where I think the the FPI has UCLA at maybe 7.9 wins. Bill Connolly has UCLA at 8.5.
I'll take that. That's better.
Exactly. He also does have, which we've harped upon, UCLA's strength of schedule is 65th in the nation. Not great.
I was
fun.
actively rooting for UCLA today, and it makes me feel dirty.
Exactly.
We know, Alicia.
As far as recruiting goes, quarterback Trevor Jackson, 2024 recruit, has UCLA in his top 4, and this is a
Nice.
This is a big time recruit. He has Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss in his top 4 with UCLA. So that was a big deal. But the other
so
thing,
that's 3 SEC schools and 1 Big Ten school.
Yeah.
Interesting.
one West Coast Big Ten school.
That's right.
We're going to have to differentiate between that soon. And honestly, like I said, this is really quickly because we have a packed schedule. UCLA men's basketball, they have landed in Europa as well as...
I would like to avoid the basketball shows for as long as possible.
True. I'll make it quick. As well as the women's
I'll make an
basketball
exception
team,
here.
who is currently in my homeland of Senegal. They're in Dakar. They
Mike's 1%.
by 1%. They have yet to play their game, but the men's team, sans their 3 big men, Adam Bona, Ademara, and Burke Boying Tossel, played at. They played without those 3 against the Madrid All-Stars, and the Bruins came out victorious, 76-68.
How nice. Hold on. I have something here for that. Where is it? I think it is.
I like UCLA to win the game.
And then also this one.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
Oh, and don't forget this one.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
Exactly. It was hard to find. I don't know how. There was a UCLA account that was watching the game. I was trying to find it. I couldn't. But either way, I was in the middle of work. There's whatever. They're those crazy Europeans with
Us
their
people have to
midday
work for a
stuff.
living.
Exactly. Good news out of this. Freshman Sebastian Mack just looked like an absolute baller with
Who's the Mac?
17 points on 7 of 13 shots. We're going to need a drop for him.
Remind me to get that. Putting it on my list.
Transfer from Utah, junior Lazar Stefanovic had 14 points with, and this is what stood out with me, 14 points, 13 rebounds. If that dude can replicate that throughout the season, God, like he is definitely going to be a huge impact for the Bruins.
Outstanding.
What else do we have? Dylan Andrews, the replacement point guard, taking over for Tiger Campbell. He had 12 points. How many assists did he have? I don't see it here right now. But, yeah, it was basically just an overall really good showing for the Bruins against, this Madrid All-Star team.
Mike, who's the Mac we were talking about?
Sebastian Mack.
So we have this for now, but I do want to get Who's the Mac, the Ice Cube, and then I want to get some other things. But we have this for now still.
M-A-C.
Still applies.
We could also do
We're
the original.
repurposing it from Mac
Return
ATN.
of the Mac.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Return of the Mac. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, we've gone to before.
Yeah. Mr. Kenny Nuba had 8 points and 4 rebounds. I am honestly hoping he takes a step this year and becomes one of the many big men to have an impact with the Bruins this year. But yeah, so that's it. UCLA, they have 2 more exhibition games. The women's team has they're yet to start their first. They have one in Senegal, and then they're going to travel to Germany for 2 more. So yeah, we have some Summer Bruin Hoops news, and we'll update you with everything that has happened since then next week.
Mikey, do you have any thoughts on, number one, Washington getting their AD stolen by those dirty, rotten Trojans?
Don't care.
Yeah, I do think...
Yeah, she hired Kalen DeBoer, but look at the basketball team.
We'll see. Do you remember, though, the last couple of media days, she's one of the people running around, and she does seem eminently competent. And
no, she
seems very highly thought of.
She's very active.
I will say that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess congratulations to Michael and Alicia. It looks like you got a decent AD for once. But I will say... SC is due for some sort of criminal or public scandal. Like,
I mean, it is
4 times a decade. So I'm going to reserve judgment until she deals with the next one, right? Because we know it's coming.
That's so funny. I was like, it happens every year and a half.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Number 2, it still looks like Cal, Stanford, and then to a lesser degree, Oregon State, Washington State are in a holding pattern as the old Pac-4. Still no developments on that, so we will see how that plays out. And then number 3, before we close out the headlines, I just want to remind you that last week we had the return of quarterback and sideline reporter Wayne Cook, and we had him for an extra long, extra spicy, like almost an hour.
If you haven't heard it, definitely go back and check.
Go back
to
last week and listen to that.
He gave us a lot.
Yeah, and he was talking not just about the Bruin offense like we did last week, not just the Bruin defense like we were talking about this week, but just about the Bruins in general. And he had a lot of thoughts about a lot of things, as he always does. So thanks once again to Wayne for joining the show. And that will do it for your BRO-filiated headlines with
this guy.
Blue 32! Blue 32! California! California! Hey! Football!
Alrighty, so last week, if you missed it, Mike and I were here for the MJ edition. I don't have the ceiling is roof here, but the ceiling is the roof. And
the ceiling is the roof.
Thank you, Mikey. And we did an offensive preview. We talked about how the Bruins are going to look with the new QB, whoever that is, the running backs, all that stuff. I did over and unders. I did some polls on Twitter for over and unders as well, if you didn't see those. But this week, we turn our attention because guess what? Guess what next week is, guys? Next week is
football.
Week 1.
Week 0.
The
game that will be.
It's amazing. Can't wait. But we still got, that leaves us just enough time to do our defensive preview this week. And when we think about defense in the Chip Kelly era, most people are left with some indigestion, right? It really has been, if you could point to one thing that people harp on over and over and over again in the Chip Kelly era, you could say, number 1, probably recruiting, probably 1A, is the defense.
Yeah.
Can you think of it? And then 1B would certainly be
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
I probably say in that
Not
order.
this
right?
year. Not this year.
Oh,
Happy Chip Kelly. He's going 11-1.
I'm just saying, like, those are the things that people complain about, kind of like in that order a little bit, right? The recruiting, well, and then of course the doomsday alert because all those lack of wins in the first couple of years. But recruiting, defense, Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick. Those are things that people have complained about in the Chip Kelly era, right? I don't know if we're rectifying the recruiting at this point, although things are better than they were, I suppose, right? As far as the defense goes, I kind of feel like it certainly is a problem with the Chip Kelly teams.
You think, Jake?
However, I think in some moments it has been overstated, and I think that some of the small flaws with the spectacular offense to a large degree has been understated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when you look at going down the line of the stats that Chip's defenses have created in his 5-year tenure at UCLA, this is going into 6th year, right? There certainly is some lines of demarcation. There are the first 2 years when the defense was, by all accounts, no excuses, absolutely dreadful. And those first 2 years were under former defensive coordinator, who, Bill?
I forgot his name. I swiped him from my memory. Azanaro. No, Azanaro.
Jerry Azanaro, yes. And then he was there for the 3rd season as well. At some point, they brought in Brian Norwood. Mike, do you remember at what point they brought in Brian Norwood? Wasn't it before the COVID season, or was it right after the COVID season? It was one of the. It was right in there.
Yeah, it was close to that because, I think he's been here 3 years already.
And then we had Brian Norwood through the 21 season, and then for 22 we got a new defensive coordinator, right? In name, Azanaro was the defensive coordinator, kind of in name only for 21, and then in 22 we had Chip hired Bill McGovern, and very sad story. Obviously, he passed away in the offseason. He got sick halfway through this last season. A defense that was showing some promise in different aspects, and then it kind of fell off a cliff in the back half of 2022. But those have been the leaders of the defense, coaching-wise, through that tenure. And the first 2 years, definitely very rough. The last 2 years, arguably much improved, but still not good enough in a lot of people's eyes. And certainly when you look at things like points per game and some of the stats, it certainly is not good enough. But I would still maintain better than it was. It's certainly kind of like Mike would always make the argument about the Chip Kelly era when people were like, let's cut off his head and put on a pike, right? The one thing you can't say is Chip Kelly's teams have not improved. Chip Kelly's UCLA teams have not improved while he's been here because they have gotten better and better each and every year. The problem is, why'd they have to be so bad at the beginning? Does that make sense, guys?
Because he ripped it up and started over.
Well, I mean, that might be what you say, but I'm saying that's what people were saying. Like, it didn't have to be that way, right? That would be the argument against it. So, with that being said, something that I do want to, as we come out of this argument at the end of this conversation, the one thing I do want to address at the end is, if new defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn comes in and all of a sudden the Bruins are a much improved defense, which there are some things that you could point to that say, oh, these guys might be much improved. Where do we really attribute credit for this year, however it goes, if they do deserve some credit? Is it all because of the coaching change, right? Which I would maintain that Kelly has tinkered with the coaches for the last 3 years, starting after that second really, really, really bad year, Kelly's second year. Or is it just kind of the natural order of things and they've just been getting better and now they're kind of peaking? We can hope, cross your fingers, if you think that they actually are going to peak. I mean, there have been some hyperbolic statements thrown out there this offseason about UCLA's defense, whether you believe them or not. I actually heard one of our fellow podcasters, maybe Mike was a guest on his show as recently as today, put out something out there like, is this UCLA's best defensive line in their history? Now, I don't know about all that. However, they do have some guys that look like they could be pretty good. So there is a little bit of optimism around this defense. Now, with that being said, Mike, let's just go through briefly kind of the highlights of each position group. And Bill, if you have any thoughts on any of these guys, if you feel like you need to declare a UCLA defensive magic man to go along with your UCLA offensive magic man.
Or a state of emergency.
Literally, Bill, I'm telling you right now, you are not allowed to pick Liatu Latu because we all know that's a curse.
It's not a curse,
and you shall not curse him.
Not a curse.
You shall not.
Terrence Austin is a good man.
Whoever you talk about.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
You
great man. All 4 feet of him.
You keep Latu the hell out your mouth. All 4 feet of him.
All 4 feet of him.
Oh, give me the boys.
Thank you so much for coming
4
to
weeks
UCLA.
of my life.
Thank you so much for coming to UCLA, Bill said, looking down at Terrence Austin. That's where that conversation went. Anyways.
Oh, dear God.
We'll start with perhaps the most mysterious of these groups, and I would say that is the secondary, right? There's a lot of new guys or guys that are going to newly contribute because some of the stalwarts are no longer there. When I look at the UCLA secondary from last year, and I think about, Mike, you tell me if any of these guys are still here in 2023.
Okay.
All right. All right, Mike. Mo Osley in the third. Is he with the Bruins anymore?
No, he's moved on.
Stephen Blaylock.
Moved on. Both starting safeties moved on.
Azizi Hearn.
He's moved on.
John Humphrey.
He's still here.
Hey, we got that going for us. So of the top 10 tacklers, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of which were defensive backs, we have Kenny Churchwell and we have John Humphrey coming back.
Yeah.
Departed are Osling, Blaylock, and Azizi Hearn.
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea. Like, there's going to be some new contributors on this team in the secondary for sure, right? Now, with that being said, Mikey, who are we expecting to be our starting cornerbacks?
Devin Kirkwood has pretty much locked that up since his freshman year. Last year, he had a hand injury. He had that club, which kept him out of I can't remember if he played in the bowl game or not, but he was out for a good portion of the second half of the season. But that's a guy I'm very excited about. I hope that this is a breakout season for him. On the other end, we have Jalen Davies. Right behind him, John Humphrey, who, as you just said, was one of the top tacklers of last season. But we also have Alex Johnson, who looked really good, continues to look good at the nickel spot. Kenny Churchwell looks to be one of the starting safeties, along with transfer Jordan Anderson.
What about Kamari Ramsey?
He's right behind Jordan Anderson. And, you know, it's I'm going off the Bruin Report Online depth chart projection, which is pretty solid. I mean, it's a combination of what we see in practice as well as what we're hearing. And, yeah, either way, even if Kamari Ramsey is a backup, that's a solid backup. That dude is awesome, and I think he's going to be he's going to be a wrecking ball this year. But yeah, no, there are some guys that have been in the system for quite a while, and you know, other guys who really need to. I mean, the fact that you have Jordan Anderson coming in as a transfer, already slotting into a potential starting spot, that's really good.
Yeah, no, I totally think you are right with that, Mike. And I am curious to see, you know, hopefully they just have guys that can. The front seven, we're going to get to in a minute, should be pretty good. Yeah. So they just need guys that can. They don't have to be top flight, you know, as far as like how they play, but they just have to be a little above average. Hopefully,
yeah, we don't need a top 5 secondary. We just need them to do way better than last year.
No, I think they definitely need to be improved over last year, but I think that if they can just be, you know, slightly above average to average, I still think that's going to be okay because theoretically with the front 7, with the front 6, you know, depending on, you know, playing nickel or 3-4 or whatever, but with the guys in the front line, they should be generating more pressure this year than the Bruins have had in years. And so that takes the burden off of the defensive backs to a degree. So that should go hand in hand. And if the front 6 or 7 is as good as build, then that will make the secondary look a whole lot better. It just there's just no two ways about it.
They can get to the quarterback, right? Because it's always been like
pressure, get to the quarterback.
Get to the quarterback. Yeah, I mean you can't be in a secondary for that long.
But that's the thing that has been rushing defense has not really been a huge issue with UCLA since Chip Kelly has gotten there. It's actually gotten better. It was actually pretty decent in the first 2 years, and it's gotten better every single year. It's just when and they've applied pressure. The year where Quantrez Knight was here, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of sacks last year. Latu getting sacks and tackles for a loss. I do think it is the actual defensive back play and the fact that they're splitting up coaching duties between Cody Whitfield on the corners, Brian Norwood on the safeties, and just having
they doubled the coaching
safeties. An NFL safeties coach coming in Danton Lane covering the whole thing, I honestly believe that is going to be a huge addition for the production of the secondary.
Hope springs eternal. Yeah. Now, when it takes you to the linebacking core, right, and certainly they got a huge influx of talent when they got Olu Oladejo into the program. Who
Femi.
Yeah, he's. I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Stud. The kid's a stud.
Average. If he were on the Bruins last year, he would have led the team in tackles. That's how many tackles he averaged, right? But it looks like the linebacking core is going to be led by him and returning transfer Darius Musow, right? And then there's a bunch of other guys going to contribute. Mike, who do you think are the linebackers that are going to be the most impactful?
There's a ton of them too.
It's
right,
crazy
Mike?
too because in this system, they're it's like yeah, Bill, there are a ton of them. Who are you going to put here and there? And it's like they're split. It's basically kind of like a 4-2-5. So you're technically, and UCLA doesn't stick to this, but just to give an example of how this is all set up, you have a Will and Mike linebacker, basically a middle and a weak side linebacker. The Will linebacker, I mean, God, like 4 deep, you have Che Bryant Strother, John Vaughns, Jalen Woods, Kane Madrano. All 4 of them look solid in practice. At the Mike linebacker, you have Darius Muasau, who, you know, he was the starting Mike linebacker from last year. You're not going to dethrone him, which is crazy because you have, as Jake said, Oladejo, who would have been UCLA's leading tackler last year, as the backup to that. Then you have Ale Cajo, Trey Edwards, Carl Schweissinger, who is a walk-on, but he looks really good. UCLA's linebackers are the best they've been in a few years since
we hope.
Yeah, exactly. No, knock on wood. Since that the Bar Kendricks year.
But
wow,
it's a great year.
It's just weird how they have so many good linebackers, but just at 2 spots. But at the same time, I can imagine that they mix stuff up. Maybe have a 3 linebacker set at one point. I'm not exactly sure. We don't get to see the formations and all that. My point being, there's a lot of talent and a lot of experience here.
No, absolutely. And, you know, that leads into what we think will be the strength of the defense, and that is on the defensive line. It's headlined certainly by Laiatu Latu, who is vowed to have 15 sacks and hopefully, you know, distributing those equally amongst the Pac-12 quarterbacks and a little bit of the non-con as well. But that's the goal he's shooting for. We'll get to that a little bit more later. But there's also other dudes here that could have some pretty big seasons and could really help the Bruin linebacking and secondary core out by creating some space and putting pressure on the quarterback. And that would be guys like who, Mike?
Carl Jones. Dude's an absolute... Bill.
He's huge. I heard he's Swole Patrol.
My God. Golden God right there. I swear. Like,
He's just a baller, man.
The first day I was at practice, they usually... Most programs start practices out spring or fall with 3 or 4 days of just shells. You know, shorts, helmet, not full pads. Jesus. But Carl Jones is just... he could be the next Terminator. I swear to God.
He's that
You
huge.
do Terminator 5 or wherever the frick we're at right now. Just a stud. The Murphys.
That's why I thought you were going to leave with Mike,
just
but
look like,
I forgot about Mike's hard on for Carl Jones, for Christ's sakes.
Carl Jones is
it's like his name.
He's a man among men.
It's as if his name were also his middle name were Carl Caleb Beninock Jones.
Almost.
You guys remember Mike's love affair with Caleb Beninock?
Yes.
Oh my God. Mike had a heart.
Was it right? Was it wrong? Was it wrong? No. But the Murphys, both of them, they look. I would say kind of looking back at last year,
they're twins,
almost spastic. That you know they produced, but then they had some plays that were like okay, they look a lot more focused, like they are just zoned into what they're needing to do. But you cannot deny what Laiatu Latu did last year. And just the fact that he's going to be just another force, I think, is going to be huge for UCLA.
And I think going along with that, those are the edges. And the edges should be very, 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 very good for this UCLA defense. We're not talking about, Bill, good for the Pac-12.
We're not talking
Everybody
about practice.
is talking about the UCLA
Good job, Mike.
edge players being nationally good.
Yeah.
Like Laiatu Latu is supposed to be one of the nation's leaders in sacks. The Murphy twins are supposed to contribute to a front line that is putting the Bruins in the high numbers when we talk about nationally sacks, pressures, TFLs. Okay, so we need to go into this. If we can go into this year thinking that defense is going to do that, if that's the baseline, if that's where we're starting, then it can shape up to be a decent defense. And there are other factors at play here, which we'll get to in a minute. But another huge, huge, huge important part of this is not just the edge guys, but the guys in the middle, right? Gary Smith. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be able to play?
Who I would say that would be a weakness because it hasn't been. They haven't been able to penetrate the way that the edges have, and they've done a good job of doing what they're supposed to. But we really haven't had that Kenny Clark type of guy who goes in and just destroys people up the middle.
And I would say that you don't need him to be Kenny Clark. Obviously, it is a bonus if you have a guy that's just a freaking game wrecker, right? And that's the guy that weighs 300 pounds. He's in the middle, and you need 3 guys to block him, not just 2 or 1. They don't have to be that, but they need to be solid. They need to plug. They need to really control guys in the middle to allow the linebackers to make plays around them. They need to control the middle so people can't run up the middle so that the edge players can make their plays, right?
Exactly.
That's the important thing. And I think that Gary Smith, Jay Toya, right, Magna, and the rest, to a degree, all have the ability to do that, and that's all you need. Anything they do above and beyond that, if you get a guy that develops into some sort of game breaker, then oh my gosh, now we're cooking with freaking propane at this point.
Oh God, yeah.
But I think these guys can do that, and that's why this front seven is so highly rated, and it's a very, very good thing. So those are the players that we're dealing with. The guys you're probably going to hear their names called more than others, right? Bill, do you have any excitement over any of these dudes? Do not mention Latu. Other than that, who are you most excited to see?
No, I am excited to see. Look, call it a bias here, but I'm excited to see if the hype can match the Twins this year.
Because guess what? Bill's got his own set of twins, and he's just kind of tied to it. That makes sense.
That makes sense. So for me, I'm just trying to see, because I remember Mike talking about it, and it wasn't just Mike. It was Bro and a lot of other people like, oh man, and these Murphy twins seem like really good during practice, like during the preseason. And then when it got to the games, it's like, oh, maybe they're not bad.
They had their moments.
They had their moments.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not
They had
bad.
great moments, but they also had like
head scratching moments. So
North Texas.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this year they put it together and they actually live up to what they were billed as in the beginning. That's what I'm hoping.
So with that being said, I want to get to some talk about overs and unders. Right. Mm-hmm. And with these overs and unders, I gave you guys a stat sheet in front of you so you can look at it for reference as we're going through this. But I kind of laid out what the defense has been in the Chip Kelly era, and I want you guys to come up with a number that is over or under what I'm going to set for you. Right.
Okay.
And we will do a Twitter poll this week. So if you're listening to this, look at our Twitter at What's Bruin Show.
Yeah.
And go on do our poll, please.
Yes.
Please.
I love Twitter, guys.
Bill loves polls, more likely.
Wow.
Anywho. First of all, let's just get right to the main one, the most important thing. We all know a key to the game is how many points a team scores. Right, Mike?
Yep. So I think it's whatever offense manages to score more points.
It's
or
sound logic.
The flip side of that is whatever defense manages to allow less points.
Nice.
Right? So,
nice.
In the Chip Kelly era, 2018, he's a freaking genius, folks. He just is. 2018 to 2022. The Bruins.
Drugs are a hell of a drug.
That's darn right.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
The Bruins, 2018, 34.1 points. 2019, 34.8 points. Both of those were sub 100 nationally numbers. Not very good. 11th in the Pac-12, both those years. In 2020, the COVID season, which we're going to basically throw out in all these numbers, they averaged 30.7 points, 73rd in the nation. And guess what, though? In 21, can't throw that last number out because in 21, they were also 73rd in the nation, giving up a Chip Kelly low 26.8 points per game.
Yeah.
And in 2022, it was 29 points per game. And,
which is crazy because these last 2 seasons was the first 2 in the Chip Kelly era where the points
Chip Kelly
points for was more than points allowed.
And last
year, they were still 90th, but UCLA still had 10 more points for than allowed, which is crazy.
38 a game.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, and we can't. You also have to remember that when you're talking about these defensive numbers, you have to put the context of what the offense was like as well, right? That's a part of it too. And I think a lot of reasons why people get so frustrated with the defense the last couple of years was, number one, how dreadful it was in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But then 2, like just how much they were on the field. And I have one key stat here we'll get to in a minute that was about last year's defense. But also, like, the Bruins scored so much, they were just handing the ball to the defense, to the other offense a lot. And this defense was on the field a lot, playing a lot in a lot of these games. And so that's a part of it too, right? They're exposed to more danger because they're, UCLA's offense is so prolific and so fast sometimes. They'd score in 3-4 plays. Anyways, you see the stats there in front of you. 34, 30, 27, 29 points in the last 5 years. Will this Bruin defense this year be over or under 29 points per game? Bill, I ask you first.
I think I'm going to go under with all the hype that Mike was talking about earlier with the linebacker core.
Go
and
Bruins!
The I guess on certain podcasts saying this is the best defensive line ever, which I don't believe, but still, I'm hopeful that it will be underneath the 29.0.
Mikey.
I'm going to go with the same because there's just progress. But aside from that, all the experience that is returning from last year, the inherent sacks and tackles for a loss that should be forthcoming, I think is going to really help that out. I would even say they would probably be less. I know we're going to do some bold predictions next week, but my bold prediction is that they would be below 23.0 points.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying. It's also I gotta say too.
23.
The schedule. The soft schedule helps too.
It does. And also, Mike, I'm also going to go under on 29 points per game. And part of that is, number one, the schedule. We'll talk about how much lighter the schedule is this year than it was last year. Number two, let's not forget, they're taking away like 5 or 6 plays in the game just from college football in general. So scoring, theoretically, should be down all the way around. Not by a much, but it's enough, right? So I think, number one, I think this defense is improved. Number two, I think D'Anton Lynn is going to add a little spice. Number three, I think that what Mike said, the competition level is way down.
Yeah.
And number four, they're taking away plays. So all that leads to a nice solid under in 29 points per game. God bless the Bruins. Let's hope that happens. Defensive rushing yards per game has been, once again, this is one of them you can look at the stats and say, wow, they were really bad, and then they weren't that bad. Okay, 2018, they were 85th in the nation, 4.6 yards per rush. 2019, around the same, 4.3, 64th in the nation. But the last 3 years, the Bruins have been in the top 50, and sometimes way better than that, in yards per attempt. 3.6, 3.8, and 3.8 the last 3 years. Okay? So this is something that, and once again, this goes towards the Jay Toyas and the Mangas and who's my other guy? Gary.
Iopu Smith. Yeah.
But this goes towards those guys, right? You are stout up the middle, and you will stop the run.
Yeah, but
that's right.
Point being
is, do we think the Bruins can maintain this level of rush defense? And we'll just say they've averaged 3.8 the last couple years. Will they be over or under 3.8 yards per rushing attempt given up? Mikey, what do you think?
God, that's
a good number.
Again, I'm going to go with experience because of this, but I think they're going to be under. They're going to allow fewer yards per rush.
Go Bruins!
Fewer yards per rush.
Thank you, Mikey. Bill?
I don't know how they're going to utilize exactly their linebackers, but if you have a strong D-line, depending on how close those linebackers are to the line, I think it'll be under. I think it'll be under by maybe. So it's at what, 3 point? I can barely see this, man. 3.8. So I'll probably say 3.5.
Look at Bill. Even giving us a specific number. That's amazing. Go Bill. That's what I want to say.
It's not that much more.
Go
not
Bruins!
that much less, I should say.
That's right. All right. Well, do they have the average 3.5 yards per attempt? They're going to be a pretty darn good rushing defense. That'll be inside the top 25, I believe, looking at the stats the last number of years. Okay, so next one. Defensive passing yards per attempt. This has been a bugaboo for the Bruins in the Chip Kelly era. There's been the first 2 years, 7.9 yards per attempt, 9.2 yards per attempt in 18 and 19. That was good for 99th and 127th in college football. Not so good. The last 3 years, once again, they have improved a little bit, right? Hovering around the 7 yards per attempt mark, 7.3 to 7 yards in the last 3 years. That's good for 56th in the country.
Did you say fisty?
I think he did say 50.
40th in the country.
It's all good, Jake.
You're weird, bro.
Last year, 75th in the country. Don't take me inside Bill's dreams. UCLA was a top 75 pass or better pass defense in the last 3 seasons. Guys, with that being said, do you think this pass defense can hold opponents at the same level they've been the last 3 years, basically? Under 7.3 yards per attempt, which will probably put them somewhere in that, 75 or less National League. Bill, back to you.
I mean, God, I'm just listening to,
We're so optimistic.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, because listen to the podcast, listen to what Mike said here. it sounds like there's some hope. There's some hope out there. So, but I'm not gonna get crazy with it. I think they can get it. Let's say they can get it down to 7. Right. Let's get it back down to 2021. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything crazy. So 7 yards, even yards per attempt.
Mikey, what do you think?
I think they're going to be. It's going to be lower, but not much. I speculate when I see when I tell all of you what I see at practice, what my hopes are. I think it'll be lower, but as of now, I need to see it. So I think it's just going to be barely. What was it? 7.3 last year. I would not be surprised if it's 7.2 or 7.1.
Well, I will tell you this. If they get down to what Bill said the mark at 7, that would take them inside the top 50 according to like last year. Yeah. Right? And I think that's all they really need, right? If they can keep the rush defense as it is or a little bit better, if they can keep the pass defense a little bit better, right? Just a little bit better, then I think you're looking at a defense that will be significantly better and will give up a significantly less amount of points. But, oh, my gosh, we're so optimistic. I just have to play this right now because, I just feel so good about the Bruins.
UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight.
Who is
Thank
that,
you,
by the
Gary
way?
Parrish.
Gary Parrish.
Yes. And host of the CBS Sportsline College Basketball Podcast. He's terrific.
Awesome.
I want to get on the show. But, try
do it.
That's my goal. Gary Parrish, I know you're a listener. I want to bring you on the show.
We know you're listening.
Anyways, so those are the, so this is what I think is the key number. Okay? Right here, right now. Or actually, I want to do sacks first. Sacks, the Bruins, in the Chip Kelly era, have not been overly aggressive sack-wise. Okay? 2018, they averaged 1.25 per game. Almost worst in the country, 119th. 2019, they got up to 2.17. That's good for 62nd in the country. 2020, the COVID year, which I have to throw that out almost, they got all the way up to 3 1/3 sacks per game. But that was like 4 games, and they played Cal. I mean, give me a break. Who couldn't sack Cal 17 times? 2021 and 2022, though, right about 2 and 2.15 sacks per game. That's good for 60s, in the 60s in the country. That needs to improve this year. And my question to you is, how much will that number improve? If the Bruins can make it up to just 2.75 sacks per game, that's basically averaging a little more than a half sack more per game. And if you look at what Latu's promising, he had 10 last year. He wants 15 this year. That pretty much would do that.
He had 10.5.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Jake.
But like if Latu fulfills his promise and everybody else does what they did last year, that pretty much would take them right about to 2.75 per game. And so the question is, can they get to 2.75 sacks per game, making them probably around a top 25 sacking team, knowing what the goals are? Guys, what do you think, Mikey?
3 sacks per game.
Oh, my God.
Just a baller, man.
Just a baller.
And why is that?
As we said, so my thing with the defensive line was that when you look at the strengths and weaknesses, the interior would be the weakness, but it's not like this tragic weakness. It's pretty solid, and we talked about it earlier. They look much improved, but you have such a huge arsenal with the Murphys, Jones, and Latu. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they will be probably top 20 to a top 15 in sacks.
If you look at all the national magazines in all the different ranking systems, the one thing UCLA's defense is ranked highly in this year, it's that front 6 or 7, right? Yeah. And people expect them to be better this year. So I don't think it's out of...
And I think they expect themselves to be better this year.
I think they do too.
That's a huge thing.
So it's not... I don't think it would be a crazy thing if the Bruins were all of a sudden raise their sack total significantly. Bill, what do you think about that? 2.75 sacks per game.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go against that when I said earlier with all the other things like the front line, the linebacker, front line, front. Yeah, so I hope it's going to be better, and I'm going to say under, right, because of what I've been saying up until now, which is the hopeful improvement of the D line and the linebackers with all these strong dudes. Latu. I said his name. Name. Eat it, Jake. Eat it.
He's not your magic man.
He might be.
He's not.
So with all that said, I think it'll be lower.
Wait, lower than 2.75 per game?
I'm sorry. Let me go the opposite way. I think it's going to be higher than 2 point. Yeah, I think it'll be higher than that.
Let's go.
And Mike said it earlier. He alluded to it earlier. Their schedule, right? In those first 3 games,
fight.
You can get some good sack numbers quick.
Oh,
Absolutely. And I have more schedule talk for you in
Sack
just a
it up,
minute.
yo.
We have 2 more things to talk about. We'll get to the first one right now. This is what I think. Oh, by the way, going back to the sacks for 1 minute. I do want you guys to pay attention. Look on that thing where it says TFLs per game right above the sack numbers.
Okay.
Right? And I want you to look at 2021, where the Bruins were 5.8 tackles for a loss per game, good for 68th in the country. And in 21, they had 2.17 sacks per game, good for 68th in the country. See how that correlates right there? And you look at the other Chip Kelly number eras, they kind of correlate. They were really terrible in 2018, 120th in the country basically in TFLs and sacks. Then they were in the 60s in 2019. Then they were in the 60s in 2021, right? The only year it didn't correlate was last year as far as tackles for losses versus sacks. So they had a decent number of sacks last year, good for top 75. But other than the sacks, they did not get no tackles for losses last year. You see what I'm saying? So they need to
get at the running backs.
Blow some running backs up in the backfield, right? Yeah. And that leads directly to the next thing I have to say, because if they had done that, if they had been able to blow up more running backs in the backfield, they wouldn't have been absolutely, abhorrently, piss poor bad in this key statistical, pay attention, category in 2023. This is where it is, guys, because conversions, okay? Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruin defenses, went from being really, really awful to being not so bad over the course of those 5 years. And third down conversions in 2018 and 2019, they were 48 and 40%. That was good for 11th in the conference and 8th in the conference, right? In 2021, they were also 44% third down conversions, good for 9th in the conference. Not so great, right? If I told you that UCLA's defenses had a hard time getting off the field in the Chip Kelly era, that would be a statement you'd have to agree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But if I told you that last year, the dadgum Bruins made it all the way to, upper half of the conference, getting off your third downs, 39%, improving, that's the best number by far, by 3 percentage points, I think, in the Chip Kelly era. They were under 40% in third down conversions last year. That's a good number.
Yeah.
And yet, could the Bruins get off the field last year?
God, no.
You know why? Because
Especially
the Bruins
gave
gave up a nation, almost national worst. They were like in the bottom 5 in the country in fourth down conversions, not only in percentage, but also in attempts. Oof. The Bruins had 30 fourth down conversions against them last year. Like the average for teams last year is something more like about half that.
Wow.
15, 16.
Because coaches were like, they're not stopping us.
Well, and guess what? Of those 30 conversions, 30 fourth down conversion attempts, the Bruins gave up 70% on fourth down.
If I'm a coach, I'd be like, go for it. I'd go for it.
So tell me those two stats don't correlate.
It's 3rd and 22. Go for it.
Go for it.
I agree, but more likely the situation was.
No, exactly. No, I get it. Yeah.
It's 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
The Bruins give up 8. Now it's 4th and 1, and they're like, okay, we'll just run on these fuckers. And they did, right? And to a tune of 70%, they were successful. And if you adjust the 3rd and 4th down conversion percentage from last year, like basically you add the 4th down conversions onto the 3rd down conversions, that takes the Bruins 39% very good or pretty good 3rd down conversion rate and shoots it all the way up to 44%, which is as piss poor as it has been the rest of the Chip Kelly era.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is very important for this defense, which really there's a lot of metrics where they weren't that bad. We're just asking for a top 50 defense from the Bruins this year.
Yeah.
Last year, guys, they kind of were a top 50 defense, but for the horrible fourth down conversion percentage, which led to a horrible conversion percentage overall, which meant that they couldn't get off the field, which meant they gave up a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And so to me, that is the key here, right? They need to shore that up, and if they do, then I think we can see a lot of improvement, right? And you can help that out by getting more sacks. You can help that out by getting more tackles for a loss and all that stuff. But that to me, that is the key stat for this year, and that's something I'm going to be looking at very closely in 2023. Now, the last part of this that I want to talk about, and Bill is getting ready to nod off. He's okay over there. He's doing good. Bill, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah. Corporate Bill, hard at work. That's right. Mike has brought it up. Bill brought it up. The schedule softness of this year compared to last year. Because I would say another reason to point to how last year's defense was actually fairly good compared to the other Kelly defenses. You can't point to last year and say there was no improvement, because there was. The problem is that who the F were they facing? Did they face a lot of high-powered offenses last year?
Actually, they did.
They did. Washington, Oregon. Yeah,
USC, Washington, Oregon.
If you look at your papers, it's actually there right in front of you. These are the offenses they played. The top 6 offenses they played were all in the top 50 in the country, and 4 of them were in the top 15.
Yeah.
Okay? They played the number 3 offense in USC, 41 points per game. The number 7 offense in Washington, 39.7 points per game. The number 9 offense in Oregon, 38.8 points per game. We all remember Bo Nix. He's stunting on us. Ugh. Number 11, Utah, 38.6 points per game. Number 47, South Alabama, 31.2 points per game. Thank God it wasn't 32 points per game, because that would have been trouble. Wait, we won that 32? I think so. Or 32-31.
But
whatever.
Utah?
No, South Alabama.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right?
Field goal.
We just barely held them at their average. Yeah. And then just inside the top 50, number 48, Arizona, at 30.8 points per game. The rest of the offenses they played were middling to shitty, but that's a murderer's row of offenses to face in one season. 6 top 50 offenses. Did Wisconsin play 6 top 50 offenses? I think not. Okay? All these Big Ten teams are like, oh, we're top 25 in defense. That's something for another show. But I'm pretty goddamn sure they didn't play anything like the offenses in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
and it is kind of a zero-sum game, right? Because in the Pac-12, there's a lot of quote-unquote bad defenses, and there are a lot of quote-unquote bad defenses. But there are also a lot of really good offenses. You could see that when they went and played other teams from other conferences. They were pretty darn good. Right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So last year, the Bruins played teams that averaged about 30 points per game, which would be good last year for the 53rd best offense in the country. Just to give you some to set it with. But what you have to remember is 4 of those offenses were in the top 15 and averaged, 38 points a game. 39 points a game. 4 of their opponents averaged 39, and 6 were in the top 50. Looking towards this year, well, Oregon, Washington both drop off the schedule. Thank fucking God.
Yeah, about time. It was the first time in 7 years.
But only for a year. They're
I
back
know,
on.
right? Yeah.
They're back on.
Exactly.
Bill, we're leaving for today, not for
Okay.
tomorrow.
All right, I'm saying only for a year.
Washington and Oregon drop off. And you could say that, yeah, Oregon State's a very good team.
Damn.
We'll see what Washington State is. But those offenses are not nearly as explosive as Oregon and Washington. We can both agree on that. I think all of us can agree on that, right? So this year, instead of facing 4 top 15 teams, well, now they're only facing 2 top 15 offensive teams from last year, I'm saying. Maybe a little off from last year.
Thank
and they're only
God.
facing 4 teams in the top 50 as opposed to 6. So just right there. Oh, and by the way, I said that last year their opponents averaged collectively, the shitty offenses, the good offenses, about 30 points per game. Coming into this year, the offenses they're facing, if we went by last year's numbers, are under 28 points a game. That's a significant difference, right? It's not, doesn't sound super impressive, but to me, the main thing is the 4 top 15 offenses last year, only 2 this year.
Which is a huge thing.
6 top 50 offenses last year, only 4 this year. And that's a big, big deal in my opinion. And so that could be another reason why we are thinking about the defense being, showing some improvement. Not just with our eyeballs, with our ojitos, but also statistically. All right.
That sounds like a Petros thing.
It probably is. Hey, like Milton Berle said, if you steal it from me, it's been stolen twice.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I operate. Anywho, yeah, ask Michael Castillo. I stole segments from him all offseason. Yeah. All right, last little bit here. Home stretch, Bill.
Yes.
I have some surprising numbers for you.
Yes.
I want you guys to predict your your leaders for the Bruins, individual leaders, in a few statistical categories. And Bill, for this exercise only, you cannot say he's your magic man, but you can choose Latu if you think that's the best answer. It's okay. You're off the hook on this stuff. We'll get to sacks last. Number 1, I want to know, who do you think will lead the Bruins in interceptions in 2023?
Alex Johnson.
Why, Mike?
The dude's a stud. He's in that nickel. Sorry, I just had to
No,
jump
I'm going to
out
go with
there.
I'm going to go with that guy.
I do have some stats that maybe can help Bill out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he knows the position and he's very aware of what he has to do. And that nickel position is it's interesting because it kind of is a hybrid between secondary and linebacker. But I think he just
so he's
has
going to get a little bit of action as a linebacker. He's going to get a little bit of action as a defensive back.
exactly. And
that makes sense.
I could see like a situation where a ball is tipped and he's just in the right place at the right time, 5, 6, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage and just captures it. But I'm going with Alex Johnson.
I do like that, Mike, and I will tell you that Jalen Davies led the Bruins with 3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Churchwell, the other returner in the secondary, had 1. Okay, and other than that, it's pretty bleak and barren as far as like returning numbers. The interception leader for the Bruin has basically had 3 interceptions like the last decade. Okay, like 3 interceptions.
The last
Sometimes
decade?
it's 2. No. What I'm saying is like most years it's about 3. A couple years it was 2.
Yeah.
A couple years it was 4. Most of the time it was 3. But does anybody remember this season? Which I was looking at this and just like blew my mind. Anybody remember? No. Close though. Same class. Anybody remember Raheem freaking Moore?
Yes.
And the year?
Oh yeah, when
that
he was a
dude
nickel. Yeah.
had 10 interceptions in a goddamn season.
He played
what
for the
F?
He played for the Broncos, right? Didn't he go play?
He went to the Broncos. But he averaged 0.77 interceptions per game. I remember that season now. It was a Newcastle season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that guy had 10 interceptions in a game.
Well, yeah.
That's by far. That's more than
Wait, that 10 in
2.5
one game?
No. 10
season.
You said
interceptions in
game.
a season.
Okay.
10 in a game would be awesome.
Well, he said, like,
Just for reference, that's 2.5 times the amount of any UCLA interception leader in the last decade.
Yes.
Okay? Now, going back before that, I don't know. But Raheem Moore, we salute you. Ironically, going back a little ways, too, I have another interception stat for you. One of our all-time favorites, just because of his name, Adarius Pickett, never led the Bruins in interceptions. What a shame. Bill?
Yeah, but how many picket sixes did he have?
I don't know.
I think he had like.
I think he had at least 1.
Yeah.
Anywho, Bill, do you have any votes for who's going to lead the
No,
the
I mean,
Bruins
look,
in
Mike
interceptions?
has been to the freaking practices, even though he only gets like 15 minutes of
Jesus drills.
He still he probably has a better touch on this one, so I'm going to go with Mike's.
I will tell you 3 of the last 5 or 6 years, someone in the safety positions has led the Bruins in interceptions. So that's a good guess, Mike. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Tackles. Okay? Tackles. Does anybody know who led the Bruins in tackles last year? It's a pretty easy answer.
Was it Musau?
It was Musau.
Yeah, okay.
Hawaiian
I'm going the
transfer.
same.
Darius Musau had 91 tackles last year. That's an average of 7 per game. I already mentioned this earlier, but coming in, Cal transfer Oladejo, who, he's just so studly. Talk about, I have man crush like Mike has a man crush on Carl Jones.
Yep.
But anyways, Oladejo, 91 tackles last year, but he played fewer games, so he averaged a little over 7.5 tackles per game last season.
Damn.
I would say it's probably between those two. There's not too many people we have to get into. So really the question to you guys is, and don't answer it yet, but it's like, who's going to average more tackles and lead the team? Musau or Oladejo? And I'll let you vote in a minute. Or actually, let's just do it right now, and then I'll give you my linebacker flavor after that. Mikey, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Musau.
I think I know somebody who will agree with you on that. Where's his drop?
Iron Mike.
Yeah, he's got a
Will Decker,
talk about Decker's got a talk about hard-ons for players. He's got one for Musau. All right, Bill, you want to flip a coin?
I'm going to go. I'm just saying,
The Cal guy or the Bruin guy?
I'm going to support
Cal
Jamaal.
guy or the Hawaiian guy?
I'm supporting Jamaal. I'm going Cal guy.
Go Bears. Where's my Go Bears?
Femi Aladejo.
Where's my darn Go Bears?
Go Bruin.
That's the wrong one. Oh well. Go
Bears.
Go Golden Bears.
There it is.
The Bears.
I think that Musau will probably do it, but I'm going to be rooting for Oladejo just because, I don't know, I feel like he's my match man this year on the defense. But we'll see. Anyways.
We'll get to that.
Couple stats for you for the linebackers that I think you'll like, Bill. First Bruin to top. Oh no, that's wrong number. Oh, who's the last guy to average or to lead the Bruins in tackles 2 years in a row? Because that's what Musau was trying to do this year. Musau was trying to lead the Bruins in tackles for the second year in a row. Bill, stop kicking things. Yeah. Who's the last guy to do it?
Osling?
No.
Blaylock.
No. Bill?
You have no clue.
Remember Jayon Brown?
Yeah.
You love Jayon Brown, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He led the team in tackles in 15 and 16. Now, to put it all in perspective, Jayon Brown, I think, averaged like 10 tackles per game one of his seasons, and I think he averaged like 7 the other season. Musau averaged 7 last year. Oladejo averaged 7.5 last year. You remember a guy by the name of E.K. Eric Kendricks?
Yep.
He led the Bruins in tackles 3 consecutive years, and he had a shit ton in his freshman season as well. But just to put it in perspective, remember 7 tackles per game. That's the number that both the Bruin linebackers this year have. Yeah, Ike totaled 399 tackles over the 3 years he led the Bruins and 475 tackles in his career. So he was like 2 of those seasons, he averaged like 14 tackles per game. Fuck. That's how omnipresent Ike was. And he led and one of those seasons he led the team in interceptions as well. So I mean, Eric freaking Kendricks was a freaking man. We love him, we salute him, and we hope his NFL career, unlike Miles freaking Jack, who retired this week, goes even further.
And be a plumber, electrician. That's fucking hardcore, man. That's
and has there ever been a baller that exemplifies he's just a baller man?
Just a baller, man.
More so than Miles Jack? He's got to be in the pantheon of what's Bruin covered players. He's one of he's at the top.
You met his parents. You talked to his parents.
I love that guy. And when he talks, his head moves like a bobblehead. I love that guy so much. He's so awesome. All right, last thing, sacks, the big number. Latu, as we said, he wants 15 sacks. Now, who is the last Bruin to have? Well, first of all, if he got to he got to 10, right? That was the first Bruin to top 10 sacks in the Chip Kelly era. So going back at least 5 years. Mm-hmm. Before he got 10.5 last year, who was the last Bruin to get 10 sacks? You have to go back to the late Mora era.
Late Mora. So that
got a lot of pub that year.
Marsh?
As by the way,
Cassius Marsh.
Nope.
Bar.
Nope.
Really?
No, this is after Bar, and I'll give you another hint again.
Oh, he went to Miami.
Go Golden Bears.
No, he didn't.
No, that guy sucked.
I know.
We hate that guy. Don't mention his name.
He's in the NFL now.
F that Jalen Phillips.
Yeah.
Anyways,
he's from Redlands too. That's what really
Go
sucks.
Golden Bears.
That's your hint.
Golden Bears.
Oh, Tack.
Oh yes,
McKinley.
Yes.
And his lovely mother.
Yeah.
And his what do he have? He had where to go? Tack had 10 in 2016, and before that, Anthony Barr had 13 and 10 in 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn,
Those are the last like big time sack leaders. If Latu met his goal and got to 15 sacks this year, right? That would put him at number 2 all time in a single season. That would put him above Anthony Barr, the 13.5 he got in 2012. But that would put him right behind the all-time leader in sacks for the Bruins in a single season, who is none other than, anybody have a guess? Bill, you should have a special tie to this guy for a number of reasons.
For all-time sacks?
All-time sacks. He had 16.5 in this year when you weren't a student, but it was around when you were a student. It was just after you were a student. And he is one of the twin ball sacks.
Oh, okay.
And he's one of the twin ball sacks.
Dave.
So Bill, who's got a single ball and has twins,
should
identify with Dave Ball and his 16.5 sacks in 2003.
That's right.
Should be Bill's all-time favorite player.
Ball sack.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Rest in peace, Chris Roberts. We love you.
Yeah.
You will be missed.
When's the twin balls?
Okay, so that's your defensive primer.
I remember dating a girl at the time and goes, "What? Did he just say that?" The
Yes, he
next
did.
room, I was like, "Yep."
That's what he said.
You heard that right.
That is your defensive primer.
Football's crazy.
Your defensive preview. We hope you enjoy it.
Yes.
Now let's move on with the show.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No, Bob, we're not having Fresca tonight. Wait, Bill, are you having a Fresca?
I had something close. It's Sprite Zero.
Oh, there you go. No, but we're not having a Fresca tonight. I am having... What am I having? Oh, a bottle that I got at Costco. I felt very happy to get just because they don't have very often. But it's a nice Old Forester, bottled in bond. I think it's 100 proof. And what year do they put on this thing? Hold on a second. Oh, 1897. And it's the one with the green writing on it. And just Old Forester. Bill, I mean, I know you don't drink as much as you used to.
Yeah.
Dick. But I always enjoy good Old Forester, and I think you do too.
I do. No, I have a couple bottles. I think 2. You have way more. You have like, what, 4 or 5?
Well, At this point, no, because I keep drinking them.
Oh,
but
okay.
but yes, I cycle through quite a bit of Old Forester.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a very good old reliable.
And they're out
bourbon
of
to go to.
Colorado? Where are they?
No. That's Kentucky, man.
Oh, it's a real bourbon.
Remember, they had a whole movie themed after their. They had the Statesman, the Statesman bourbon, which was in what's that movie called, Mike, with the spies, Tyler Edgerton, all that stuff.
Kingsman.
Kingsman. Yeah, they were the American Statesman, right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Anyways, good stuff. Mikey,
yeah.
what do you got?
From that same brewery that I like, that I really love that Swami from Pizza Port Brewing. I saw this at the Trader Joe's. Everyday enjoyment India Pale Ale.
Ooh, I like it.
And this is really good. This is, I gotta say, this is a little bit tastier than the Swami, but really, both really good beers too. Speaking of beers, did you guys catch that conversation with Chip Kelly during his media about NIL beers? It just kind of came up about like, hey, what if there's, what if UCLA can come up with some beers and all that?
Oh, going off the Trojan stupid beer?
I think that's where it was going. Nobody actually said that, but Chip Kelly is kind of all for brewing brewskis.
Chip Kelly?
But he was like, as far as brewing it in Wasserman Center and selling it from there, that's not happening. But,
God damn it.
But what do you guys think? It's a couple names that I threw out there, actually. 11 Banners IPA.
That's a good one.
Pyramid of Success Pilsner.
That's like having a Wood Athletic Foundation license plate for it.
I like the Pyramid of Success Pilsner.
South Campus Stout.
Okay.
North Campus Hazy IBA, because you know all the stoners.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So,
The only thing I don't like about that is that there's lots of schools that have a upper campus, lower campus, north campus, south campus, right? I want something a little more
True, yeah,
like
yeah.
an actual something that's more. So I love the first one.
And here's my motto: Champions made beer.
Oh, God.
Champions made beer. I'm like, hey, why are we like?
Because I'll get sued. I'll get sued.
Why you would get sued? How would you get sued? It's your idea,
Mike. That's another.
I know, right? It's just freaking amazing. So that Champions. Oh,
that's a Symposium slogan.
Oh, you're right.
Oh my
wow,
God,
I've
Mike.
been sitting on that motto for like 6 years.
Can we get that?
We're going to be working on that.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully
Oh, yeah.
we'll-
Anyway, that was all this beer talk, because of, as I said, we at the What's Brewing show are no longer sponsoring or consuming Stone on this show. It is forever banned, canceled.
Can I just say this? So we were at.
That'd be a
and
Mike
I
call, man.
already knew about it from like last week or the week before in our texts and everything. But I was at Trader Joe's with Suzanne. And I said, Suzanne, look, and it was only one case left. I said, look at it, and she looked. She's like, get the F out of here.
Yeah.
What the hell is that crap? She said it all loud. She's like, what the hell is that crap? She's like, turn it around. Put it
Did she turn it around?
Yeah, she's
Did
like,
she turn
turn
it
it
around?
She's like, put that crap in the back. What the hell is going on?
Because if you go to a Target with
Oh,
Suzanne,
yes.
she turns the shirts
Oh,
around.
dude, I've trained my kids to do that.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
It's
great.
so good. It's
Or put
just
the
cover it.
UCLA
Just cover
stuff
it.
in front of it. Yeah.
It was fun.
That's amazing. All right. You know what, Mike? In a related conversation, I mean, I am constant. Me and Bill are constantly in conversations to acquiring a barrel of something.
Oh, I know.
And at some point, having the
love
What's
that.
Brewing blend of whatever, the What's Brewing single barrel of something to distribute. I just have to do the research on how we can legally sell that out of my garage, but aka the What's Brewing studio. But also lots of we're going to be using some infused bourbon as well.
Screw it. Let's do a pop up.
Well, literally,
if anybody in their if they're
I should be able to just walk in on the sidewalk and do
On
it
the
because
sidewalk.
anybody can sell anything in Los Angeles.
You could do
Friggin'
anything in
wreck
Los
of a
Angeles.
city,
Who cares?
But, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, maybe
gonna sell
that'll
on the street.
Maybe that'll accelerate the
Unless you
plan.
got the Karens coming out. You can't down here.
Oh, they don't do that here.
America.
They don't do that here.
Well, if you and I were doing it.
I don't know. Well, I don't think so. No, I honestly don't. Like the ones if you go down Balboa.
Oh,
There's
is
a
it
ton
that?
of
Is it
them.
that kind of? Oh, yeah, that's right. We are in L.A. Valley.
Yeah, man. No,
Cougar Town.
yeah. There's
So,
Yeah, we are.
whiskey, huh?
Anywho,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for supporting What's Brewing Show.
You can listen to our podcast too.
This
Don't
is the
touch me.
Symposium conversation over drinks. Thank you, Mike.
or soda.
Or soda. There you go, over there. What a square. But Mike, for how much a month?
$2.
Just $2 a month. You can send the What's Brewing Show into the future. We appreciate your support. That is on Patreon, patreon.com/What's Brewing Show, or on Substack. For how much a month, Mike?
$2.
No, $5.
$5.
We're $60 a year. But either way, you get the same stuff. You get exclusive podcasts when we do them. You get access to our Slack channel when that's all your. The football season's about to start, and the Slack channel is going to be lit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And you just get to know that you're supporting the What's Bruin Show, and the What's Bruin Show Network, and the Symposium into the future, and we appreciate your support.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mikey, what's brewing with you? School started.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, school started. We got practice going on. I did.
You survived the
Hurri-Quake?
Hurri-Quake.
Yes, I did. So I was. Yeah, no, I understand actual hurricanes, and I understand that there's like crazy flooding going on in the high desert. But I prepped so much.
Why, Mike? Why do you listen to these newscasters?
Fake news, Mike. Fake news.
It is so fake news.
I'm just saying, like, look, did the South Bay get hit really hard? No. Did the Valley get hit really hard? No. Was there rain? Yes. Do we? Are we colossally as in the Southland? Are we colossally stupid when it comes to rain?
Yes.
But was it any stupidity above or beyond any other time?
Well, if anything, I would rather be overly prepared.
That's true.
Than underprepared.
That's good, Mike.
And yeah, sure enough, it was weird. There was some weird rain. There was a period of 3 hours on Sunday where it just rained constantly, not hard, not drizzle, just rain. And then it stopped, and the sun came out. Then it went away, and then there was like 10 minutes of like 10 mile an hour winds. The chimes were going off outside. The Mexicans were getting crazy. And then nothing.
I will say this.
And then 10 minutes of just pounding rain. It was very weird. It was something I've never expected. And I would rather be over-prepared than under-prepared.
I will say this. I did batten down the hatches a little bit, as in I moved my stuff under the patio cover, basically, and pushed my furniture together a little bit. But I live within the city limits of Los Angeles, but in the Northwest Valley, right? And I will say the winds that we got over the weekend
are not as strong as the ones you usually get.
65% of what I get a third of the year.
It was windy when I got here a few hours ago.
So it's like, but the one thing that was very fun and satisfying to see the day after, Bill, what's the one thing you say about the Northwest Valley where we both live that was just like omnipresent?
Oh, homeless?
No. A non-human thing. The day after, when you walked out of your house and drove around, like drove to work, whatever, the pine needles.
Oh, everywhere, yeah.
Covering like a blanket. It was like it snowed pine needles. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like if you drive around anywhere the North Valley right now, there's giant tumbleweed size.
Rinaldi is like crazy right now.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways.
So just getting ready for that, and I know that every year I've covered UCLA sports.
Go Bruins.
I always go just right into it. This year I'm like, you know what? Gonna decompress, chill out.
Mike.
I'm going out of town this weekend. I'm gonna go watch.
Yeah, you are.
I'm gonna go watch some USC football, which they're gonna destroy San Jose State. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But the fact that there's football, it's gonna be awesome.
We're happy for you, Mike.
So
very happy for you, Mike.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're happy for you.
We're very happy for you.
Bill, what's wrong with you?
I'll report back.
I hope so.
All right. Well, yeah, guys. It was all hype, and F you to Mike and all these other people who screwed me over from trying to get eggs just to make a freaking dinner.
Oh my God, the disaster preppers!
Oh my God, there were no eggs. All that were left. All that were left were these organic, vegan, horrible. $13 eggs I had to buy because I had to buy eggs. Damn you guys!
Really quickly, sidebar. Really quickly. So on Saturday, I kind of just wanted to experience it, and me and the kids, we love the beach. So on Saturday we went to the beach. It was overcast, which is great. I love overcast at the beach because you don't get burned as much. Anyway, so after that I'm like, oh God, I'm just looking on Twitter and like just seeing people going to stores and buying shit out. Sure enough, I went to this Trader Joe's in Santa Monica. There was probably about a third of the stuff just
gone,
out of stock. I'm like, oh, well, it's a good thing I didn't need that
for the big storm, Jake.
Later, Okay.
Big story. Anyways,
calm down.
Anyways, dude.
So later in the day, like,
Mike, this is my What's Brewing.
I know. Later in the day, I
Bill.
freaked out, and so like, I live near the big ass Target in East LA. I go there, and everybody's just like, whatever. You know, I need dog food and toothpaste. I'm like, okay. It just nobody gave a shit.
No.
On the east side, not at all.
Not at all.
Everybody on the west side is like, oh my god, we're gonna have
It's
a hurricane.
horrible.
On the east side, is like, bitch, this is East LA.
Yeah, we're good.
Sorry, Bill. I just wanted to.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So we were in the middle of construction of my mother-in-law living with us in ADU.
Fort Jane.
And they came. The contractor and their workers came Saturday to make sure, put some stuff together. And they put tarps, right? They put tarps
Nice.
on some of the house, not all the house, but some of the roof and all that stuff. Well, it wasn't enough because, because this is not, although this was not some crazy hurricane, whatever, thank God it wasn't, because it would have done more. But man, there was flooding in our garage.
Really?
We had buckets everywhere. And then I was like, well, at least it's in the garage. And all of a sudden, right in front of our TV, bloop, bloop.
No.
It started leaking in the house. I'm like, oh. So I took video of all of it, and I was like, this is all you. This is all you. You need to make sure. And he said he'll take care of it. So he's doing it right now. But it put a delay. Now they just finished our living room. Now they have to take all the drywall, take all that stuff out because it's all. Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's fine. This is effing great.
But
That's a shame.
to know,
no extra charge.
good.
But
There you go.
But I'm sitting there like, son of
more
a
time.
bee. It's just
more time.
time.
It is. It's
Yeah.
annoying, but
But that's what's brewing with me. So it's getting fixed. Jake, what's brewing with you?
Oh, Bill, I kind of feel your pain. I've had some house projects going on here too, and it's like after close to a year, it's still not done.
Yeah.
But it's been rough. But just briefly, I watched a movie I hadn't seen in a while, and this is not going to be nearly as entertaining as your two What's Brewing. I want to commend you on your What's Brewing today. You guys brought it. Thank you very much. You can't beat a Hurri-Quake. But I watched. You guys ever see Richard III, the Ian McKellen Richard III that was done in the 90s, where he was. They took the play,
one that loses his
put
mind?
it into no. This is the one
Okay,
where
no.
he kills the young princes and then becomes king for a couple months, and then it's at the end of the War of the Roses. But anyways, it was they took the Shakespearean play and put it into a alternate universe of Britain pre World War II, post World War I, kind of the rise of fascism.
okay.
It's a really cool movie. I hadn't seen it in a million
Richard
years.
III?
And I just
Really?
and it's on. I think it's on HBO Max right now.
Is
But
it of the absurdist theater kind of?
played absolutely straight with
Really?
the Shakespearean language? So if you can get over that part, I'd say turn on the subtitles. Makes it a little bit easier. But it was just a really.
Goddamn
I
Americans.
love this movie when it came out a million years ago, and I watched it again, and it's really kind of Bill. This is pique your interest, because you hate the government and
Yes.
and demagogues and whatnot. And Mike, you're an anarchist, and you feel the same way.
Anarchist light.
It's a fun way to watch Shakespeare, is what I'll say.
Okay.
It's kind of like you guys remember Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fun way to watch
Yeah.
Shakespeare, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of the same kind of thing, only a different topic, but it kind of fits right into kind of what we've been bouncing around lately, which is really powerful demagogy leaders trying to kind of grand scan and polarize and all that stuff. So it was good. It was a nice thing to revisit, and it's on HBO Max right now. Richard III.
Richard III.
Watch this show.
All right,
That's
cool.
all I got for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next week we're going to come back with the game that will be for the
Dude.
first time in a long time.
Full swing.
It's very nice. We're going to come back with bold predictions about UCLA football in 2023. So if you have a bold prediction about UCLA football in 2023, email it to whatsbruinshow@gmail.com or tweet us at whatsbruinshow or call us.
This could be outlandish, something just crazy, something you're like, oh, I think this will happen. Negative or positive. Send it our way.
Call us 805-399-4WPS.
Suck it right in joy.
Thank you very much. And we will see you next week for another big show. Rate us, review us, tell a friend, yada, yada, yada. We're getting to football season, people. We want people to listen to us. So thank you. And Bill, what do we say?
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rob, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.